Hollywood is falling. In a matter of mere months, the movie industry has lost hundreds of billions of dollars in revenue. The Oscars, a televised event that once drew an audience of upwards of 30 million, has plunged in viewership, dropping an astonishing 60%. In fact, theater audiences shrunk by 50% over just the last 4 years. Some have argued that this fall is due largely to the lockdowns, but the losses continued even after their lifting. In fact, in 2022 alone, Hollywood saw a staggering 40% decline in its ticket buying audience. Others pointed to the advent of streaming services like Netflix. But Netflix itself has seen its market value cratering nearly 30%, losing $42 billion in value after the company announced that their subscribers shrank for the first time since 2011. So what precisely is behind this massive failure? Well, it's rather simple. In a word, Hollywood went woke.
And here are the all-male nominees.
Things have gone differently this past week in Minneapolis. I might have traded in my heels for marching boots.
Out to all those black and brown boys and girls and non-gender conforming who don't see themselves, we're trying to show you and us. So thank you, this is for you.
It's our time to have wage equality once and for all and equal rights for women in the United States of America. We have to vote in 2020, and we have to beg and plead for everyone we know to vote in 2020.
I've tried my very best to live a life of my own making, and I wouldn't have been able to do this without employing a woman's right to choose.
They told me I only have 45 seconds up here, which is 45 seconds more than the Senate gave John Bolton this week.
So many great directors nominated this year.
I don't know, Chris. I thought there was something missing from the list this year.
Vaginas? Yeah.
Climate change is real. It is happening right now. It is the most urgent threat facing our entire species.
How wokeness took over Hollywood is disputed. Some argue that wokeness began to dominate Tinseltown right after the mega producer Harvey Weinstein's sexual abuse annex were revealed, ushering in a radical Me Too movement among Hollywood's rank and file. Others have pointed to the George Floyd riots, while others simply see it as just the latest chapter in Hollywood's decades-long leftist liberal bent. Whatever the origins, the industry's embracing of hyper-diverse casting, censorship, and identity politics on steroids coincides precisely with the plunge in its audience. Take, for example, one of the latest box office bombs coming from Disney. It's a movie called Stranger Things, and it featured Disney's first gay main character as part of their ongoing effort at pushing LGBT issues on their audiences. It turned out to be Disney's second worst opening weekend ever. And when all said and done, the movie's projected to lose Disney upwards of $100 million. Now contrast that with the astonishing success of another movie released right around the same time, Top Gun Maverick, which smashed box office records by unapologetically celebrating the themes of patriotism and traditional American culture, the very values that wokeness never, ever tires of assaulting. There seems to be something very specific to wokeness that audiences are frankly disgusted by, and that's what we're going to identify. But first, gang, I gotta tell you, I was utterly shocked when I was recently shown just how easy it is to access the deed to my house, and not just access it, but change it. I mean, if you don't know, the deed to your home is the only document that proves you own it. But the problem is that the deeds to all our homes are now online, and criminals are free to find our deeds, forge our signatures, refile as the new owner of our homes, take out tons of loans using our home's equity, and then stick us with the debt. And by the way, if you think homeowners insurance is going to bail you out, you got another thing coming. But that's where our good friends over at Home Title Lock come in. Gang, they're absolutely amazing. Home Title Lock gives you the peace of mind that the deed to your home is absolutely and completely protected. Click on that link below right now and use promo code Turley Talks. And all you have to do is enter your address for your no obligation home title scan to see if you've already been a victim of deed theft. I mean, that's $100 value, absolutely and totally free if you use my promo code Turley Talks. Gang, don't wait for the worst to happen only to regret that you didn't do something about it when you could have. Click on that link below right now and secure your home today. What I believe is really happening here, big picture, is that wokeness, when all said and done, is simply not a sustainable art form. And that's because it's long been recognized by aesthetic theorists and international art critics that what makes art art is the encounter of the transcendent. The transcendent just being a fancy word talking about those values that transcend any particular thing. So for example, when I give my wife a rose for Valentine's Day, what does that rose symbolize? Well, of course it symbolizes my love for her. Now, you notice that my love for my wife is not exhausted in the rose. If the rose were suddenly to get crushed or lost or something like that, it's not like my love for her would be comparably crushed or lost. And that's because my love transcends the rose. The rose is a symbolic communicator of a love that extends far beyond the rose. And this is why the way an amazing song or an inspiring poem or stunning architecture or a popular play, that's how they all work. They communicate in some kind of culturally specific way. They communicate timeless values of truth, goodness, and beauty that are eternal and therefore are never exhausted in any particular artistic or cultural instantiation. Many don't realize, but the box office smash hit Top Gun Maverick, it's actually a fantastic retelling of an ancient myth, perhaps the oldest story ever, a grand epic known as the monomyth, the hero's journey. As with the travels of Odysseus and the adventures of the Hobbit, Maverick retells this ancient tale in new and exciting ways, and that's what makes the movie so amazing. However, by contrast, wokeness is not transcendent. Identity politics don't transcend or extend beyond our own bizarre time and place. You could cover the globe, right? You could go anywhere at any time. You will find nothing in any culture on the planet that even comes close to approximating the offended sensibilities and virtue signaling that comprise wokeness. Wokeness is not transcendent. It is a very particular ideology held by a very fringe minority. It does not have a transcendent bone in its body. And thus wokeness is not a sustainable art form, precisely because wokeness itself is not sustainable. Wokeness is the brittle belief system of a tiny fringe minority who, for the time being, happen to exercise all the levers of cultural power. But in the end, it's all for naught. As Hollywood's implosion proves, their day of reckoning is indeed coming. The woke world is imploding, and with it, a sad chapter in the arts and entertainment world is coming to an end as well. Hey gang, I know what it's like to feel alone out there in these turbulent times, but I broke free. If you too have been looking for a community with like-minded patriots who are serious about resisting globalism, building a parallel economy, and having intelligent and deep fellowship on a regular basis, then you've come to the right place. In my Courageous Patriot Insiders community, we're building a close-knit movement of, by, and for patriots who are breaking free from the outrage and despair cycles of the mainstream media and taking on the fight against globalism. Every week, I deep dive into the content I can't share on big tech and give you the cliff notes on the truth of how patriots just like you are building up their communities, starting patriot businesses, and fighting the woke in both public and private. All with a few history and political lessons from yours truly, of course. If you want to stop feeling alone as a patriot and stand together with this fast-growing community, be sure to click on the link in the description below. Don't wait. Join me and my Patriot Coalition today, and let's get fighting.